Welcome everyone to another episode of Starmade. Oh man, the past 3 days I tried to make an episode on Starmade, but unfortunately it wasn't possible due to problems after a new update with the server. Unfortunately, we were not yet able to successfully recover the world and actually play in it. Which is a real shame, but I lost patience, I couldn't wait anymore. I wanted to produce a Starmade episode, and since we've been talking about making a factory the past few episodes, or I've been talking about it at least, I thought this is the perfect opportunity to make some kind of a tutorial to explore the new factory system, so we actually know what to do once we salvage stuff, once we get the scrap metal, and so on and so forth. So that's what we are going to do in today's episode. What I have done so far is build myself a little ship together so that we can start salvaging a bunch of things. What we want, of course, is a bunch of ore, as well as taking apart a space station. With those materials, we are then going to build some kind of a factory system so that we can plan ahead and explore how it all works together, how we can automate it, and how we can use it to our advantage once we get back to our world. So enough babbling around, let's go ahead and harvest a bunch of things. Holy cow, guys, look at that! Yeah, if you haven't read, with the newest update they also implemented new structures. Decided through a contest, I believe that was. Oh man, this must be the greatest station ever. I believe at least it's considered a station, even though it kind of looks like a ship. But oh my gosh! Well, this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen, which actually spawns in the world. Geez, well, I wonder if we can actually salvage this guy, or if it is considered just as any other space station to be. Okay guys, so basically it is really easy. The only thing that really makes it complicated is that there are so many resources and so many different materials that it can be difficult to memorize what produces what exactly. But ever since the factory update and the space station updates, we should not sell the scrap metal anymore, but rather refine it and use it in the micro and macro assembler to process further. The first thing I'm gonna show you is this little thing here, the refinery. All of these machines can be either set to active or inactive, depending on whether or not you want them to produce something, and this is simply the cycle, so every time it reaches the end it will produce something. You should also keep in mind that this can actually interact with the Starmade logic, so you can have an activation switch turning this device off and on. Within the production info, we can actually check out what the recipes are. So in here is your ore encyclopedia, and you can see exactly what you will get out of that. You don't have to do anything else other than supplying power to this baby and putting all of your ores that you find in there. Now I conveniently spawned in all of the different ores because I want to check out the full potential of this and also want to be able to show you as much as possible. And what we're gonna do is simply place all of these ore inside of here, and you can already see that it starts crafting immediately, and we should be getting quite a few of those materials. Now this is the first thing that really makes it complicated because, well, look at all these different kinds of ores that you can potentially get. And we even have some capsules here. I believe we can even put the curved Lucra in there? No, actually not. No, it was just simple Lucra. And the Larimar, what the heck is that? That also works. Crazy! So we can put that in there too. We have some Gisper ore still and some Matisse shards. Yeah, you get the basic gist. There's so many freaking ores, it's incredible. And I believe we are even running out of space at this time. I'm not sure if stuff gets destroyed or if it just will be queued up. I hope it will not be destroyed. So theoretically we should be able to hook this machine up to the next one, which is either the micro or macro assembler. Let's have a look into those two machines as well. In here we have the micro assembler. The micro assembler is just used in order to produce components such as the alloyed metal mesh or crystal circuits. So for instance, if you wanted to make a black hole, you would probably end up needing one or two of those components. Also here you can see what the capsules can be used for. For instance, with one Bastin capsule we can make 2 crystal circuits. So there's a whole variety of how to actually make those circuits, and I believe what we can do is mark this one right here and hook it up with our refinery using V. Yeah, so from the looks of it, we are using now those materials in there in order to produce those alloyed metal meshes and crystal circuits. And those two guys are rather important components, which we're gonna need plenty of in the next machine. Right here we have the macro assembler, which essentially is used to produce anything. So for instance, if we wanted to produce a ship core, we can select that right here, and then we can have a look at the graph and see what is actually required. So in this case, we only need alloyed metal mesh and crystal circuits, so that's stuff we already have. So let's go ahead and select this one and hook it up with our micro assembler, and we should be producing a bunch of ship cores. Just as easy as that. We can also deactivate it in case we want to make it like a temporary production chain. So whenever we need it, we can activate it, then wait for a little bit and deactivate it again. Or you could just have macro assemblers for stuff which you want to produce all the time. And then you have one additional macro assembler which you are using in order to change the recipe, stuff which you only need occasionally and also only 1 or 2 of. So I have to say that is a pretty nifty system, so maybe we could come up with a production chain which allows me to influence which types of blocks we're producing. That's our main issue, to actually have the materials for all the different kinds of halls there are. So let me think of something, I'm gonna set something up and then I'll check right back with you. Okay guys, to not overcomplicate things at first, I'm just gonna show you the basic principle I want to go for. What we have right here are the 2 main input modules. Right here we have a refinery and this one is a micro assembler. I can enable or disable them using this activation switch if I wish to do so. But more importantly, in here we store all of our ores. So this is where we dump all the ores which can be processed further. In here we can simply put our scrap alloy and scrap composite. The rest of the materials this machine will actually get by itself. What I have also placed down is 2 storage chests, one responsible for the capsules and another one for the circuits and metal. If we have a look in here, we can already see that we have produced those things. Now in here, of course, I had to set this all up using the filter system. I had to choose all of the capsules and I set it to a count of 1000 per tick, and 1 tick simply means when this bar reaches 100%. Now let's have a closer look at the connections. Now the capsule's storage chest is of course hooked up to actually only the refinery. This is the only one that is necessary. So if you mark this using C and connect it with that using V, then everything that is in here, which is in the filter of the storage, will be pulled out. So now we could theoretically activate it, and you can see tons of capsules are being created and they are actually being sucked out as soon as the tick of the storage chest kicks off. Let's see if that happens at some point. There we go. For some very odd reason it didn't work for a bit, but when I re-established the connection it actually worked. Okay, so let's activate this again. Our capsules are all being collected in here, and this is actually a wireless connection, which is cool, so you can minimize the piping systems. Next up, this storage chest contains, of course, the crystal circuits and the alloyed metal meshes, which is connected up to both of those guys, because in here we are actually also creating those types of materials, and in here, of course, we are producing them with our scrap. So let's activate this also, and yeah, we are producing those guys and I want to collect them in here. Now what we also have to do is hook up this microassembler to this storage chest, which contains all of the capsules, and this way we can activate it and also produce stuff from those capsules. So just to prove that, let me grab all of those guys and we will still be increasing in alloyed metal meshes and circuits. And I believe as long as we have some scrap in there, it will only use from the scrap. I'm not even sure, but that might be the case. It might only pull from this inventory once it ran out of internal resources. So now that we have capsules and we have those 2 types of resources, we can theoretically almost build everything in the game. And I said it wrongly before, it is now called a basic factory, the macro assembler, and this is what we use to produce all the stuff we want. Now let's see, if I hook this up to a chest, oh yeah, that is perfect. You see, this is a wireless connection, so we can really minimize the amount of wires we are using, but we should still go and test it out. Okay, so I tested this out a little bit and this is just ingenious. Schema, you're my hero. Just select this guy and hook it up to the chest, which actually supplies the materials, so we can also, for instance, hook up both of those guys in case we are also in the need of some capsules. For instance, if we go for a black hole, right there, we can have a look at the graph and we need tagged capsules too. So that's going to be interesting in order to make the black paint. And I do have those 2 guys. Do I need to make the black paint first? Let's check that out. Let's make some black paint. There we go. 1 portion of black paint. S'il vous plaît. Merci beaucoup. And now we're gonna make the black hole. There we go, that should work. No? No! 3! I need 3 black paint. Okay, that stings. Okay, so let's say this is going to be the black paint production. Then right here we are going to produce some gray hull, and then in here we are going to produce the black hole. Now we only have to hook this up like so, and we should be producing black hole. Yes! Yes! Okay, that is amazing. That is great. We only need piping systems for those kinds of chains. So let me kind of come up with a system which looks fancy and still serves our purpose. Alright, I found the perfect solution for my crafting system. I will never be lacking my precious hulls again. What we can basically do here is activate individual colors. So let's say I wanted to produce some red hull, some orange, and maybe some blue. That's the ones that we need, and those guys will activate all the instances which needs to be activated. And also there's a bunch of connections going on, but nevertheless everything is ending up in this chest, so everything that we are crafting will be collected here, which of course you will have to add using the filters. Also, this chest is hooked up to all of the end products, which need to be sucked in, of course. And I can leave this running for as long as I please, do something, leave this running in the background, and when I come back I can collect a bunch of halls, and I can also deactivate it at any time I want and produce a different kind of hall. So I would say that is pretty fancy, as long as you remember to shut instances off at some point. But nevertheless, to wrap it up, let's have a quick look at the connections. Of course, all the activation modules are connected up with the individual crafting modules. In the bottom row, we are producing all of the different inks or paints which we need, for instance, the yellow one. In order to produce that, we need to hook those guys up to our precious capsules and circuit chests. Also, the one up here we want to hook up to the module down below, because this one is producing the paint which we need in the recipe up here, which is creating the yellow hull. For that, of course, we need gray hull, which means those guys are also hooked up to this main block creator, which is creating the gray hull, which only requires crystal circuits and alloys, which of course means this guy is hooked up to those guys as well. Actually, I believe all of the guys are hooked up. Yeah, that's what you have to do. And I think that's basically it. That's all we have to do. Just make sure that everything is feeding off the inventory it requires, and you can make pretty compact systems. You can even hide this whole shebang if you want, and you can have the activation signals somewhere else, but everything is gonna go into one single location anyways, as long as you define all the items you are actually producing. Just add them to the list as soon as you have added them to your crafting system. Et voila! That's pretty cool. So that's definitely what we are going to do on a really large scale, possibly with all the items in the game, so that we have the possibility to produce anything we want. But other than that, I think I'm gonna end this video right here. Thank you very much for watching, have a great time, and hopefully I'm gonna catch you the next time. Bye bye.